There are women running all the time now for every level of political life, which is just wonderful.
In 1971, the U.S. Supreme Court finally ruled that discrimination based on gender was a violation of the 14th Amendment. As a result of this ruling, opportunities for women increased, and more women were seen entering the male-dominated workforce and seeking public office. For example, in 1978, Nancy Landon Kassebaum, a Kansas Republican, was elected to the U.S. Senate. Prior to her election, all of the women who had served in the Senate had succeeded their husbands in Congress or were otherwise appointed to fill an unexpired term. The coming years would bring many notable firsts. Among them, Shirley Chisholm was the first African-American woman elected to Congress in 1968 and the first woman to run for president in 1972. Sandra Day O'Connor was appointed as the first woman to the U.S. Supreme Court in 1981. In 1984, a major political party selected for the first time a woman, Geraldine Ferraro, as candidate for vice president. In 1993, Janet Reno was confirmed as the first female U.S. Attorney General. And in 1997, Madeleine Albright was sworn in as Secretary of State, the first woman ever to hold the post. 1992 is often referred to as the Year of the Woman due to a record number of women running for and winning elective office. That year in Ohio, 28 women were voted into the House and Senate. 10 years later, advances failed to keep pace, and there are now fewer women serving in the General Assembly.
I am disappointed that our numbers in the Ohio legislature have not grown more than they have. As you know, it appears that we've sort of peaked and are leveling off here.
Today, women are hard campaigners, probably better campaigners than a lot of men.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next Secretary of State, Jennifer Brunner.
It is now considered general knowledge in campaign circles that when women run for office, they can expect an automatic boost at the polls.
I believe there's a common belief among people that really work on campaigns that a woman candidate, all else equal, probably has something of an advantage on the ballot alone.
But I think anymore it's easier for women to run, and in some races you get almost an automatic 5% increase in your votes just by being a female.
I can really say, and I think I can say this in a bipartisan, nonpartisan way, that being a female is a plus. For whatever reason, people look at the female candidate as the one that they can have some confidence in. They look to us to be honest in what we say and what we're going to do.
There's an advantage to being a woman because in 1980, they didn't really take me seriously, but I had waited tables for 5 years in Wood County. I knew a lot of people, and what you who you didn't know, as I worked my way through school, I just went door to door, and I went door to door. I outworked my opponents.
Do not think that you can run a campaign of any consequence for an important office on peanuts or pennies.
In political campaigns, the buzzword is often overwhelmingly money. Candidates are faced with a seemingly unlimited number of costs that could include leasing headquarters, advertising and television ads, consultants, web pages, direct mailings, yard signs, even bumper stickers. While it may not be true that one needs money to win, it is certainly true that one needs money to run.
You know, the good old days when you could think about running for the state legislature and spend $10,000 and people say that's really quite a bit, those days are gone. So in many cases you're talking about state legislative races, $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 and more.
I never want to downplay it. I never wanted to sell somebody on being a candidate on the wrong basis. I mean, I wanted them to understand it and be realistic so they didn't come in and then if they didn't win, step away with a bad feeling about it and say, I'm never going to do that again. That's not the way to groom women for office.
Our legislative elections in Ohio have gotten more and more expensive, and obviously then you have to raise money. And certain people have an easier time of that.
But nobody should shy away from a career in public service because they don't think they can raise the money. If they can put together a winning coalition, they will have the resources they need to win.
Well, it's not easy, and women don't like to raise money. Now, women can go out and they can raise money for heart and cancer and, you know, lung association and all of the nonprofits for their church. They don't think anything about. But when you go out and ask for money for yourself, it's different. And they're reluctant to do that. They could be very good fundraisers, but it's different when you put it on a personal basis.
Do not think that you can run a campaign of any consequence for an important office on peanuts or pennies. It cannot be done. I don't care if you've got the most popular name and come from a very popular family. That will help you, but you have got to get the money together.
I think it's well known by people, not only in Ohio, but across the country, how expensive political campaigns are, reaching into the millions of dollars, even for state Senate races. And that is a daunting challenge for anybody. You know, I don't know of very many men, let alone women or minorities, who enjoy raising money. It is a very difficult process. Some folks are better at it than others, but it's very, very demeaning to go and ask somebody else to support you personally with a check for $100, $500, $1,000. Money tends to follow winners. And so if you as a candidate can project and convince people that you are going to win, you will find the financial resources to get elected. It's not an ironclad obstacle. You can do it.
As we have technology today that has taken away the street politics. I can just do focus groups, polls, you know, all that kind of stuff, that target mailing, all those kinds of things change the character of how elections are won.
I am just thankful for my having served in the Ohio legislature, and I learned a lot serving there. The main thing was serving people.
There's no more important way to be of service, in my opinion, than to be involved in government. We're a self-governing society. We create the laws and the conditions under which we live, and the people in public service are the ones who help establish those rules for all of us.
I think the most rewarding thing I've gotten out of my time in office is when I have a lot of fathers, believe me, fathers, some mothers, but a lot of fathers, and many of them who are legislators, who would say, you know, I have a daughter, I'd like to bring her down. Would you be willing to sit down and talk with her? Because I want her to understand that the world is open to her and there are a lot of opportunities for her, and I think it would be good for her to, you know, her to have an opportunity to talk with you. That means a lot to me. It means a lot that people would think that I could actually, you know, stimulate their daughter into seeking public office or understanding the opportunities that are there for women. So if I'd have to say the most personal rewarding thing would be, that would be it.
I mean, after all, that should be the ultimate purpose of the legislative process of public policy making, is to make things better for people. And when you put the work into it and you gather the ideas and you create a solution and you persuade the legislature to pass it and the governor to sign it and it goes into effect and it works, that's the greatest reward you could have.
You have to do this because, ooh, inside you, you want it. I mean, this nonsense about, oh, you know, 42 people asked me to run for office. Well, they may have, but you listened because inside you're feeling this, oh, God, I want this, you know. I know I can be good in this. Anyway, you've got to bring that intensity to it because it is grueling to run for office. It just is. But it's like anything that takes an enormous amount of attention and time and devotion and stress and all the other stuff. The payoff is going to be worth it to you. And I think for women in particular, politics is a marvelous area for them to become involved in.
It can be overwhelming if you don't know people. So if you get active in your local party activities, or maybe hold an office on the school board or on the city council where you live, then you become familiar with the orientation of thinking about the public good. And that gives you some rehearsal. So I think that's very helpful.
But look, where would we be if the good people don't get involved? You know, it's almost a cliche now, but but what do we say? That if in fact good people choose not to get involved, then who will be there? The wrong people. So in fact, at the very least, if you choose not to get involved, you at least partially give up your right to complain.
The first thing that I would recommend to somebody is they get some local government experience before they run for the legislature, because I think that's a great foundation to look at the various issues and policies that the legislature has to deal with. It's bringing a lot of knowledge and experience, and I think other people and other members of the legislature will respect you and look to you for your experience if you have that. So there's school board, there's county commissioner, there's city council, there's township trustee, and if you do a good job, people will remember that as you run for the higher office or the legislature.
Look at me, you know, I graduated, I worked my way through undergraduate school, I worked full-time during the day, went to law school at night. I've only ever been on a public payroll. I'm not rich, and I still believe, I'm still optimistic enough to believe that if you're competent and you work hard enough and you have good luck and you surround yourself with good people, that you can still be successful in this business.
You've got to have a strong desire. They call it burning in the belly. You've got to have a very strong desire, because you're going to have to overcome a lot of obstacles. You're going to have to be a problem solver. Not just once you're in office, but to get in office, you're going to have to be a problem solver. There's going to be a lot of hurdles in front of you. You've got to have the desire. And if you have the desire and you have the intellect, you will find a way to be successful.
I get a thrill every time I walk out on the floor of the Ohio Senate. It is an unbelievable honor. It really makes me almost emotional just even talking about it, to think about it, that 350,000 citizens in Northeast Ohio count on me to represent their interests in the halls of our legislature. And, you know, it's a great country that, I mean, nobody, if in any country in the history of the world, would they have picked me to do it? I mean, I'm not from a family of wealth, I'm not from prominence, we don't own, great castles and estates, and I'm not even in the dominant religion of our nation. I'm not, in a particularly powerful social circle, but people selected me to represent them. It's an unbelievable thing, and I was able to run and offer myself and offer my ideas, and I think if people appreciate that, take a step back from the day-to-day issues and just appreciate the miracle of what we've created, they'll want to contribute to it and keep it alive.
I hope you've enjoyed our program and will seriously consider our proposition. You should run for office.
So you should run for office.
We want you to run for office.
I want you to run for office.
I want you to run for office.
We want you to run for office.
You should run for office.
You should run for office.
I want you to run for office.
I want you to run for office.
I'd like you to run for office.
We
like you to run for office. We want you to run for office. How do we screw that? We want you to run for office. That's the blooper.